Ayo, Ashleigh Monet here. I hope you all had a wonderful holiday, whatever it is you celebrate. Obviously for me, it's Christmas. And as I sit here, it is Christmas Day. By the time I post this, it'll be just past Christmas. Gonna try to pull off some editing magic and get this out to you ASAP before Christmas is totally irrelevant. But the time has come for me to do my Q&A. I am so excited for this. You guys really submitted some good questions, both in the YouTube comments and on my Instagram. And I've looked through them all. It turns out I will actually be able to answer every single one that was submitted. Anyways, to keep this art related, as I answer my questions, I'm going to be working on some coloring. I figure coloring is kind of like an easy, low pressure, don't need to devote all of my attention to it so I could still focus on some of the questions. That kind of art. Now, I did come up with this plan pretty late, which didn't leave me any time to order a Christmas coloring book and allow for shipping and all that. So I had to actually go store to store. I searched high, I searched low, and all I found was this. It's a cocomelon Christmas coloring book. At least it comes with these super cool high quality crayons and hey, over 30 stickers. Woohoo! Kind of pathetic for me in my 30s to be coloring in this particular book, but I'm not short on creativity, so I think we can work with what we've got and turn this into something I'm proud of. I'm digging this one. I think I can work with it. Maybe corrupt it into some sort of creepy Christmas elf. That's more my style. Now, I know for a fact I'm downright awful at multitasking, so I'm gonna try and do this at the same time. But if I know myself, it might turn into me answering the question for the camera and then like taking that answer and turning it into a voiceover on the art if I just can't keep up. But we will see. But enough of me talking. Let's jump right in and see what I can answer. Almost deleted all my questions. That would not be good. Okay. First question, is your name really Ashleigh Monet? The answer is yes, it is. Monet is actually my middle name, and even though I've always loved art, I never really appreciated having that name. I remember actually getting mad at my mom and being like, oh, thanks, you gave me a name. And that name just happens to be a dead white man. Awesome. Of course, I've had some time to grow, to wisen up, and I actually quite like it. I mean, obviously I chose it for my channel, and now I just find it kind of ironic that she gave me that name without any idea that I'd be into art growing up, and I just so happened to be. Okay, this next question was by far the most popular. It was asked multiple times by many people, and although the wording was kind of different and the questions varied a little bit, at the end of the day, it all comes back to pretty much the same answer. So I'm gonna kind of mash those questions together. How did you get so good at drawing? Aw, blush. What is your art background? When did you start doing art? Did you go to art school? Do you have an art degree? So I covered this a little in my first ever video. It was a Draw My Life. I'm gonna link it in the description in case you wanna check it out, find out a little more about me, but you don't have to because I am gonna answer it. Basically, I've been drawing since I was a very small child. My earliest core memory where I knew that I really loved art was when I was either 3 or 4, depending on where we lived, like that had to have been my age range. But I was sitting down with my mom and we were both coloring in a coloring book. And all I had were those super fat jumbo crayons. And my mom was using the big red crayon and she was staying perfectly in the lines. The coloring book was The Little Mermaid and she was staying in the lines of Ariel's lips. And I was mystified. I just could not believe that this was even humanly possible. After that, I was hooked. I was glued to my coloring books, determined that one day I would be able to color as good as my mom. Started with coloring, and then as I got older, it just became drawing. You know, some kids have sports, some kids have music. Like my thing was drawing. I drew all the time. One of the things that really helped me get better, I would go to the library and I would check out these how to draw books, which started mostly with Disney characters, but then as I got more advanced, turned into other things. I don't think people really do that anymore. The today equivalent would probably be just like going on YouTube and doing a how to draw tutorial. Either way, it's really good practice. Ultimately, just spending so much time practicing it helped me become a better artist than most people my age. I was by no means good. Let me make that perfectly clear, but I was better than most people in my age range. I had a teacher who really felt that my art had potential, and she submitted me for a couple of different art shows, and I actually did win awards. I got placements, and that's when somebody had told my mom that she should look into Denver School of the Arts for me. Now, Denver School of the Arts, or DSA, as everybody called it is a combined middle school, high school, so grades 6 through 12, and they teach regular curriculum there. You get all of your core classes. The thing that makes it unique is each child there has a major that is art related, and every day you get to spend an hour and a half in that major learning that art form. So that is where I got pretty much all of my professional education as far as art goes. I was there for 4 years, and I learned some art history, I learned color theory, I learned composition, I learned perspective, anatomy and proportions. Plus, I got to experiment with all different kinds of media, both 2D and 3D. So it really was a lot of art education. Anyways, after I left DSA, I never really did anything with that. I didn't go on to art college, and I really just stopped practicing my art altogether. A lot of people have pointed out that I'm like super hard on myself with my art, and I think it's just because I know what I'm capable of, what art I was producing while I was at DSA, and I'm not quite there yet. But again, I haven't been doing it. I haven't been practicing. So yeah, overall, I did attend art school, but it was not an art college, so I do not have an art degree. And the way I got so good at drawing is just to keep doing it. Practice, 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 and when you're done practicing, practice some more. All right, next question. What do you do for work? Now, I feel like I have definitely addressed this before, but I am a stay-at-home mom. All of my life, I've had a series of revolving jobs. I could never really decide like what I wanted to be when I grew up. I go into this in the Draw My Life as well, but I was under the impression that art was not an option for a career. So I was bouncing around from job to job, just, doing whatever I could to get a check, but never really staying long. Definitely not doing anything I would consider a career. Then shortly after having my son, but a few years before having my daughter, I went to dental assisting school, and that led me to get a job at a dental lab, which I totally fell in love with. And fun fact, that's where I met my husband. I stayed in that industry for a significant amount of time, and I would say that that is probably the closest thing I've ever had to a career. Still, I've never been one of those like career girls that's married to my job. Like, I work to live, I don't live to work. Anyways, when I got pregnant with Phoebe, my husband and I decided that I would be able to stay at home, which so grateful that I was able to do that. Not everybody has that opportunity. She is 3 now, and being a stay-at-home mom with her is still what I would consider a full-time job. There is always work to do. But okay, I am going to get on my soapbox a little bit here and say that I can't stand when people are like, a stay-at-home mom is the hardest job in the world, because I don't agree with that. I remember with my son, I was a working mother when he was young, and that is brutal. It's like you spend all day at work and then come home and still have all of the home duties, the cooking, the cleaning. At least now, those are the areas I can focus all of my attention to. Again, it still takes up my whole day, but at least that's all I have to worry about. But now that Phoebe is older, I have taken on this YouTube art, and YouTube itself is a very, very time-consuming job. If I actually log it out, I would say that I'm definitely meeting full-time hours with the demand of the channel, because I'll either spend 2 or 3 days doing the art, and depending on how many, that determines the length. So if it's 2 days, it's probably 12-hour days. If it's 3 days, it's probably 8-hour days. And then I'll have one really big edit day, which usually goes from like 8 a.m. to 2 a.m., burning that midnight oil. Not to mention all the little extra activities that go along with YouTube, like converting files, actually uploading the videos, replying to people's comments, editing shorts to put on, social media. It really, really adds up. It's a lot of work. So that's what I do. That's what I consider my work. Full-time stay-at-home mom, part-time YouTube artist, but pulling full-time hours. It's a lot. Okay, next question. And this one kind of relates. Somebody asked, what does your daughter like to do when you're doing your art videos? Now, I learned very quickly that I cannot do art when I am alone with Phoebe. She's still very needy, and I just can't satisfy all of her demands and stay in my creative zone at the same time. So generally speaking, I'm only filming when Cody is home to help, so that falls on evenings and weekends. Now, occasionally I will film either an intro or like a voiceover when I'm alone with her. Those are super quick and easy to record. Intros take a couple of minutes, voiceovers maybe like 15 to 20. And usually I will time that to like coincide with her lunchtime, so she's sitting down and eating. But even for intros, like she will be perfectly happy sitting in the living room with me as I'm recording my intro, and she'll just sit there quietly, like no problem. But when it comes to the art itself, 9 times out of 10, I'm actually filming very late at night. We're talking the wee hours of the night into the 2 a.m., 3 a.m., which is exhausting. That is a very rough sleep schedule. If I'm going to bed at 2 or 3 and the rest of my family is waking up at, 7, 8 o'clock, I really don't get sleep on my art days. I'm doing my very best not to get burnt out on that schedule. The light at the end of the tunnel is that Phoebe is about to start school. She's going to be able to go when she's 4. Where I live, Colorado just passed universal pre-K, which I'm so excited about because that will financially cover at least a few hours a week of her being in school. The issue is they only accept you if you're 4 unless you have like special needs, which Phoebe doesn't. So 4 is what it is, and I am anxiously counting down. I figure once she starts going to school, I will be able to do much more art during the day, and I won't have to pull those late nights. Looking forward to that. Okay, next question. What is your favorite artwork at this time, and what made you like them so much? So I feel like I have many answers to this question. Ever since I studied art history in school, I have been obsessed with the Italian Renaissance. I mean, that is the era responsible for some of the most brilliant art minds of all time. Da Vinci, Michelangelo are 2 of my all-time favorites. And they created some of the most beautifsistine works of art that I have ever seen. The Sistine Chapel is beautiful. Michelangelo's David might just be my favorite. Like, I don't know what it is about a marble man with a little wee-wee, but I just love looking at that thing. Blows my mind that somebody could create something like that. But I also love Leonardo da Vinci. I love his sketches, particularly like the Vitruvian Man. Oh my gosh. I don't know what it is about these pieces, but they just make me feel so much. We have a soul connection. Okay, pause on this because I tried to have my fireplace on for ambiance. It's very pretty, but it is getting super hot, so I'm going to shut it off. My biscuits are burning. Okay, continuing that. So I'm also obsessed with Banksy. If you don't know who that is, Banksy is a street artist who does stencil graffiti work in the UK. And one of the coolest things about him is he is completely anonymous. Nobody knows the true identity of Banksy. And that has been the case for decades now. He produces art all the time, yet nobody knows who he is. For that reason, one of the things I love about him as an artist is he's not money driven. 90% of his art that has sold, he doesn't even get the money for because he graffitis it on somebody else's building or wall or whatever. And then whoever owns that then sells the wall, which is just wild to think about. But the thing I like best about Banksy is most of his art is very political, and I just love stuff like that. I love art that makes you think. And then considering I'm a YouTube artist, I gotta show love to my favorite YouTube artist, which may not come as a surprise, but it is Moriah Elizabeth. I just find her material to be super entertaining. It's very easy to watch. It's not heavy at all, and I love that she does cutesy things. Again, that's not really my style, but sometimes it's so refreshing to see somebody do something so different from you. And I feel like every time I watch one of her episodes, it's like a little slice of happy. Like, I love her sense of humor. It just puts me in a good mood for the day. Which is an awesome segue into the next question, which is, would you do a collab with Moriah Elizabeth someday? I mean, is it even a question? Yes, hell yes. Obviously, the bread and butter of my channel is create this book, which I say it in every episode, so you guys should know that Moriah Elizabeth wrote that book. So obviously I'm well aware of her, but I'm actually a really big fan and have been for years. My son actually introduced me to her. He was obsessed with the squishy makeover videos, which I love too. I mean, let's be real. I like watching anything art related. So when he wanted me to watch with him, I was like, yeah, sure, no problem. Fast forward a couple of years, he's over it. He doesn't watch anymore, and I still do. But sincerely, she really was like the main inspiration for me to take my art to YouTube. But I also feel like we are similar in age, which is crazy. Like when I started watching her, I thought she was just some little teeny bopper, and it's like, no, she's like my age. And we're both mothers to 2 children. Got a lot in common. I feel like we'd get along. I think a collab would just be a blasty blast. Now, do I think that the very busy Moriah Elizabeth will stumble across my little 1,000 subscriber humble channel? Not likely. But hey, Moriah Elizabeth, if you're watching and you want to collab with me, I want to collab with you. I'll be waiting by the phone. I can dream. Okay, next question. What is your personality type? Now, I assume whoever wrote this is referring to the Myers-Briggs personality test, because that's the most popular one, right? Anyways, I found it really hard to find a site that allowed me to take the test for free. Everybody wants to charge you. So I'm gonna leave a link in the description for that in case you guys wanna take your test. You can do it for free. But it turns out my personality type is INFJ, and I will break down what that means. So the I is for introverted. Those who are introverted generally prefer fewer social interactions but enjoy deeper conversations, and we are drawn to calmer environments. The N is for intuitive. People that are intuitive are big picture thinkers. We are imaginative, open-minded, and curious. F is for feeling. A feeling individual values emotional expression and sensitivity and is highly empathetic. And the J for judging. Someone who is judging is decisive, structured, and highly organized. Boy, that hits the nail right on the head for me. So the INFJ personality is called the advocate personality. And the overall descriptors for the advocate personality are creative, deep. Advocates have strong ethical values. They are passionate, idealistic, and altruistic. And if I remember, altruistic is like the opposite of narcissistic. Like I care about other people more than I care about myself, I think. Okay, and those are the positive attributes of the advocate personality. Now on to the negative. We are sensitive to criticism, perfectionistic, and prone to burnout due to unrealistic expectations of themselves and others. Wow, yeah. Common occupations for an INFJ advocate personality are therapists, social workers, yoga instructors, nurses, writers, musicians, artists, and those that work for nonprofit organizations. Now, I found this super interesting. The INFJ is the rarest of all 16 personality types that you can get within the Myers-Briggs system. It is estimated that only 1 to 3% of the population is an INFJ, so no big deal. I'm like, super rare. And it's awesome. They actually give you a list of famous people that are that same personality type. We've got Martin Luther King Jr., Nelson Mandela, Eleanor Roosevelt, Lady Gaga. And then they even do like fictional characters that would have that personality type. And the ones I found most interesting were Jon Snow from Game of Thrones and Atticus Finch from To Kill a Mockingbird. I'm starting to feel a little saint-like. That's pretty awesome. And I read more about that personality type and it does seem to like hit the nail on the head for who I am. Okay, next question. What is your favorite art supply and what is one medium you want to try that you haven't? Good question. So it's kind of tricky because I have 2 favorites. There is my favorite to use and then my favorite as far as how it ends up looking. And unfortunately, they are not the same. Why would they be? That would be too easy. But as far as the process goes, my favorite to use are alcohol-based markers, which I am using to color today. So yay. I just like that they are very efficient. You can color large spaces very quickly with them. I love that the colors are so vivid. I also really like that with alcohol markers, you can blend really, really well. The downside to that for me is just that the colors change. They really do with time, or you guys have seen I Mod Podge pretty much everything in my Create This book. They change under the Mod Podge. It's so frustrating to lay down a color and then come back a week later and it looks nothing like it did when you laid it down. So the supply that I enjoy that always produces a good end result long term would be watercolor, like watercolor for the base color and then going in with colored pencil for details. That always looks so good, and honest to God, like I should just do that every single time. I think it really complements my style, but it takes so long. It's so much work. I wonder if the INFJ is also lazy, because I certainly feel like I am. Now for the supply that I want to try, it's definitely Posca paint pens. I know I'm like the only art YouTuber that does not have Posca pens. Everybody has it in their arsenal. Everybody loves them. Whenever the topic of Poscas comes up, it's like, I'd rather just use the acrylics that I have and use a paintbrush and lay it down myself than do the pens, because they're so expensive in my opinion. I don't like spending money if I don't have to. Now with that being said, I did get a present for Christmas. So now I get to try them and I don't have to paint for them, which is just the best of both worlds. I'm excited. I have to figure out what it is I'm going to use them for. Hopefully I can work them into some Create This Book prompt coming up soon. I will say I'm a little bit worried that they're not going to live up to the hype, but the hype has to be there for a reason, right? We'll see. But on to the next question. Did you look into air plants? Did you get one? Oh, okay. So this is very specific relating to one of my videos. It's the video where I did the array of media challenge and drew a bunch of different potted plants with different supplies. And I ended up saying in that video that like I can't keep plants alive. Side note on that, if you were at all invested in that episode, I did mention there is one plant that I've managed to keep alive for 3 years. And in putting that episode out, I must have jinxed it because within 3 weeks, he died. Yes, very sadly, Arthur is no longer with us. So yes, my awful streak with taking care of plants is continuing. And this question came from somebody that had recommended on that video that I try air plants because they're very low maintenance. After what happened with Arthur, I did not look into them. I feel like I have to take some time to mourn. And I just don't know when I'll be able to try plant motherhood again. For right now, doesn't seem like a good fit for me. But thanks for following up on that. Okay, this next one was another question that was asked many times in multiple different ways. But the question is, what other art videos are you planning to do on your channel? Now, some people asked what I'm wanting to do after I finish Create This Book altogether. And other people were asking if I plan to do anything alongside Create This Book. The reality is I have 1,001 ideas for art things to do on my channel. There's no limit to my ideas. The limiting factor is just the time that I have. Like I said, right now, what I'm doing with Create This Book already takes up a lot of time. My time is already super tight. Like a second video a week just seems sort of impossible. Like even now, this Q&A, I know it's gonna set me back so far because this is supposed to be an art creating day. And instead I'm recording a Q&A, which tomorrow then I'm gonna have to edit, which tomorrow is supposed to be an art day. So basically it's like setting me back 2 days. I'm gonna have to literally push and push and push with no sleep just to get my next installment of Create This Book out on time. Not a big deal when it's a once in a while type of thing like what we're doing here. But I definitely don't have it in me to say start another series. Now I have said that I would like to push to try and do a second video on those slow weeks where say I have 3 prompts instead of the usual 4, but that hasn't happened yet, so I don't know that it's going to. I really don't want to like overpromise what I can do and underdeliver. I would rather be the opposite and underpromise and then get an extra video thrown in there to surprise you guys. So tentatively right now, I'm just working on Create This Book. As I have it planned out, doing 1 episode per week. That is still gonna take me 1.5 years to finish. I think the projected like finish date is somewhere in April of 2025. Again, I am hoping we can squeeze other stuff in there along the way so we don't have to wait till April of 2025 to see something different, because there is so much that I want to do. I have Wreck This journal. I have Draw This journal. I have 642 things to draw. I want to do This Is Not a Book. I want to do the anti-journal. Lots and lots of prompt books. But I'm also super interested in doing more challenges on my channel. The style swap challenges, love those. Would love to do that. 3 color challenges, super fun. Any sort of 30-day challenge, like the 30-day Disney challenge. I'm all about that. Huevember, Drawsember, Mermay. I would love to do the Pantone challenge. I want to try customizing different wearables like shoes and jackets. I'm open to trying to paint squishies. I'd love to make my own plushies. Try that out. do sculpting, and I do have a very special idea for a series that would be 100% original in mine, but because of that, I don't want to give it away, but I'm hoping I could get to that eventually. Like, there's just so much in here that I want to get out, and I'm so sorry to make you guys wait for it, but I guess on the flip side of that, because I have so many ideas and they are untapped right now, you know, I'm not going anywhere. I have enough material that I could keep going for years and years and years and probably still not hit all of my ideas. With that being said, I am super grateful to those of you that are content with Create This Book and enjoying that as it is. I do feel like I'm able to show a lot of my skills, a lot of my creativity, a lot of different mediums, and touch on a lot of different ideas with that alone. But there is more to come. Okay, next question. Which pen is your absolute favorite? I don't think I could just pick one. Let's categorize here. So if we're talking fine liners, I'm definitely a fan of the Pigma Microns, although I realistically only use 2 sizes, and that is the 0.5 and the 0.005. Now, I'm sure you guys have seen in other videos, and honestly, even this one, I'm using this different brand. It is an Amazon off brand. And I have no real issues with the quality, apart from the fact that the ink tends to look a little bit more grayish blue than a pure black. So since they're not my favorite, I'm using them first to get them out of the way, and then I'll switch back to the Pigma Microns. I will say that I feel like there is virtually no difference in quality between the 0.5 micron and the Sharpie pen, as long as it's the fine tip. And the Sharpie pens are significantly cheaper. So moving forward, that's probably what I'm gonna do, is just use the 0.5 Sharpie pens along with the 0.005 microns. Now, I couldn't talk about favorite pens without touching on the pen that I use for all of my juicy highlights. It is extremely opaque, and I get so many comments asking what it is. I wish I could say that it was something special, but honest to God, it's just this little Amazon off-brand paint pen. I used to think they dried out really easily, and then I just learned this trick where you can remove the nib and run it under some hot water to clear any gunk that's like preventing the paint from coming out, and then it works like new. And I've been working on this individual pen for months now, and it hasn't dried up. Very, very happy with it once I learned that hack. I'm going to go ahead and put a link in the description for you guys so that you can check it out. And since we're here talking about my highlighting pen, it's juicy highlight time. Okay, and that brings me to the last question, which I am beyond excited about. Somebody actually wrote me, would you show us your cats and tell us a bit more about them? Which, heck yes. I'm a total cat person, so whenever I see somebody on YouTube that has a cat, I'm like, oh, show me more of the cat. But I thought that was just me. I didn't think there were more people out there like that. So yes, I'm happy to share them with you. So I have 3 cats. They are all boys. They all get along. I really feel like I've hit the jackpot with my little setup here. But let me go get them one at a time and I'll tell you a little bit more. Let's start with Prince. He is my favorite. I know as mommies, we're not supposed to have our favorites, but we do. I mean, I'm his favorite human, so he should be my favorite cat, right? Now, if you've noticed, I do have a cat in my little intro animation and also my outro end screen page. And that's this little guy. Yeah. And he is named for the late great musician Prince. All of our cats are named after musicians. But it's actually funny. His name was Prince when we got him at the shelter. And when they sent him home with us, they even wrote on the box, the cat formerly known as Prince, because they assumed we were going to change his name. I was like, nope, we're keeping it. I love it. So we got him in December of 2018. And at the time he was 4. So that makes him 9 now. Oh my God, you old man. You're so old. So old. Oh yeah, you lay down. As far as his personality goes, he is definitely the troublemaker. A total escape artist. He's just dying to get outside, which makes sense because when we got him, when the shelter got him, they found him out on the street. So he was feral and that's kind of like his lifestyle. In fact, here. He has a little stump tail. He lost the bottom half of his tail. I'm sorry. Does it annoy you? I would love to know what happened there, but it's not like he's going to tell me. You're not going to tell me. But yes, he is always causing some sort of mischief. He's the one that gets into all the cabinets and goes behind the washing machine. Like anywhere he's not supposed to go, he goes. But he is just so affectionate, huh? Yeah. Can you look into the camera? Say hi. Hi, I'm Prince. So that's Prince. Let's go get another, shall we? Now this is Presley. Can you look at the camera and say hello? Presley is, of course, named for Elvis Presley, and we actually got him at the same time that we got Prince back in 2018. At the time, the shelter was doing this like buy one, get one deal just to clear out the shelter. And it's pretty funny. We actually only wanted Prince, but because it was like get a free one, we got to walk around the cat pavilion and pick a second. And Presley wasn't our first choice by any means. He wasn't particularly social or anything like that. And his little like information card or whatever, it actually said that he was 11. So when we picked him, not to be like grim, but we basically decided we were like getting a senior cat and giving him a home to die at. As awful as that sounds. But we get him home and we're looking at him and it's like, gosh, he just does not look that old. And we looked through his paperwork. He was 1. And on his card, it was a typo when they wrote he was 11. But Presley is just the most chill cat. He really just likes to sleep all day. He will be in one spot and we'll check back 6 hours later and he is still there. Are you gonna flop for me? Are you gonna flop? Oh, yes. Okay, that was fun. There he goes. Again, not very social. Oh man. He's all in my nose. So fun fact, I am actually quite allergic to cats. I grew up with cats my whole life, and when I turned 16 was when I developed the allergy. But at that point, like I've always had cats. I love cats. I'm a cat person, so I wasn't about to get rid of any cats. I've kind of just toughed it out, sucked it up, and been like, okay, there's Zyrtec, there's Flonase, and if I need it, there are eye drops, like I'm gonna power through. But that one, oh, he gets me going. He gets me itchy. He gets all in my nose. Definitely doesn't help that I'm like wearing lip gloss and all of his hair is just sticking to my lips and touching my nose. Okay, let's get the last one before I have a major allergy attack. All right, let me present Freddie. Can you look at the camera? Are you ready for your close-up? So we call him the cat dog because he loves to lick. He's so friendly. And I mean, he loves strangers. He loves our kids. Like all of our cats tolerate the kids, but he prefers them to adults. Like he loves to just go and sit in the kids' rooms. But Freddie is of course named for Freddie Mercury of Queen. We got him last year for my birthday. And at the time he was 1. Now he's 2. Oh my gosh, you're everywhere. Here come the allergies. He shakes the whole table. Yeah, he is a fat boy, a chunk. Oh my gosh, yes. Oh, look at you. He is 20 pounds and was not even close to that when we adopted him. So this is our fault. We did this. He just loves to eat. Our cats are kind of free feeders. Like we have a feeder that goes off at certain times, but if there's not a ton of food, then this fatty will eat it all and the other cats won't get any. So we do huge portions for each feeding. So there's always some left over. And I know that the other cats aren't starving, but he eats most of it. And that's why he's just so big. One thing that's funny about Freddie is he's one of our only cats that has like a zillion nicknames. I don't know why. Prince and Presley just never like got nicknames, but Freddie is sometimes Freddy Krueger, sometimes Freddy Spaghetti, sometimes Mr. Merkin and Jerkin, he's working. Sometimes Frederick, sometimes Friedrich Nietzsche. The list goes on and on. But he's kind of like the fan favorite. Everybody who comes to our house loves him because he's so friendly. Oh, yes. Oh, yes, you love. Oh, okay, it's happening. Down you go, boy. I'm about to blow. All right, well, before I freaking explode with allergies, I think that is it. Hold on a sec. No, there was one more actually, and I don't know why I didn't have it typed up, but I remember it specifically because it had me cracking up. But somebody asked if when I do the goodbye, like if I do that in real life too, like when I'm on the phone or leaving the house or something. And it had me laughing because the answer is no. That was developed specifically for YouTube. I found that the YouTubers I like the most usually have some sort of like memorable sign on or sign off. You know, with Moriah Elizabeth, it's like, hey, it's me. And Bailey Sarian, I love Bailey. You know, when she leaves, she always says that, bye. So I kind of thought that I needed some sort of like greeting that was more memorable than hi and bye, but still felt like me. And that's when I came up with the Ayo and the goodbye. But I've been doing it so long that I'm actually starting to do it in real life now. And occasionally on the phone, I'll let an Ayo slip, or even my kids, like Phoebe runs around and she's all goodbye. So funny. But I actually thought of that because I was just about to wrap this video up and say thank you so much for hanging out with me. I had so much fun answering all of your questions. And until next time, goodbye.